What about Shovel Knight? Shovel Knight also on this list right here, and you know, a throwback obviously to 8-bit Mega Man with a shovel.
Yeah, that's one of my favorite games of the year.
Right.
I think anyone that grew up playing NES games in the 80s certainly could find a lot to love in that game. But the platforming was so clever.
Oh yeah, and I think what's amazing about Shovel Knight is that, so you know how we have these films and filmmakers where you're watching it and you can tell the person who made it is a student of film.
Sure.
They've watched film.
Yeah.
They know about all the conventions.
Tarantino does that.
Sure, Tarantino's a great example of that, and Shovel Knight is exactly that in game form. People who made this have done a lot of homework, have a lot of love for that era, and have kind of done a beautiful and really, like I say, clever kind of deconstruction and reconstruction of all those ideas that made platformers and action platformers kind of the go-to genre of the era.
It's not mimicking or aping, the 8-bit
Right.
games. Like, it feels like it is one. Like, it's right at home with Mega Man 2, That's really what jumps out at me. And I guess, I really was surprised I got to Shovel Knight a little bit late. I didn't play it right when it came out. And I didn't hear enough people talk about, like, the writing being in that game really clever.
Yes.
The writing and the music and these elements that... It really is a complete package. Shovel Knight was a game that wasn't afraid to be extremely difficult. I mean, I found it extremely difficult. Maybe someone like Colin that's got a little bit more Mega Man chops than me didn't experience that. But this is a game that you're trying to sell as many copies of a game as you can, and they weren't afraid to make you retry a boss. Like, you got to figure it out. Like, you got to figure out his patterns.
Yeah. It is difficult, but I never felt like it was unfair.
Sure, no.
Sure.
I never got so angry that I wanted to stop playing. Like,
Yeah.
I always felt like if I just try a little bit harder next time, I can get through it, and then I
Almost
eventually
had
did.
him. It's like the old days when
Yeah.
you're watching the health bar click down. You're like, I'm so close. If I can just dead, but next time.
It's that crazy feeling of the first time I would fight a boss, I would just be like, this is impossible. He kills me in 3 hits, and I have to hit him so many times. But then he's, three tries, and I get through it. And that feeling of teaching you through gameplay is really well executed.
Yeah.
It walks that line between being punishing, but also letting you feel like a champion when you finally get good at something. And it, in contrast to games like Dragon Age or some of the bigger games on our list, along with Child of Light, show that a game can matter and feel like it has a lot of substance, even if it's a smaller game. And a game can be beautiful, even if it's not photorealistic. And a game can be have a sense of like menace and like motivation without necessarily being super visceral or really blatant about sort of the manipulation they put on the player. Like, it's really just beautiful in sort of the scale, right? Like, that they're able to do so much with so little in that game. And you're talking about the diversity on this list. Like, what brings all these games together on this list for me is just like they're all really high quality experiences that know what they want to be and really embrace that. And they don't try to be everything to every gamer.
Sure.